Titti, deceive oneself, trying to get over something, trying to make something disappear. This is deceived by Titti. It's coming from the belief values, such a viewpoint that has been given to oneself since the past. That's not the way. It's not about a belief value. Even a value given to Nibbana is also not it. The belief values are made up, is turning around to become circling within such belief values, trying to make it over, trying to make it disappear on and on. So let's purify thoroughly. Use the reminders to purify, the reminders that purifies itself. Let go of the letting go itself without quarrels with samsara or with defilements. Karmic defilements is the karmic difficulties. There is no need to quarrel with it. Let go of the letting go itself. There is no need to quarrel with any circumstances, whether there is or there is not. This has nothing to do with it. Discard the discarding itself. It's not about discarding something. This has nothing to do with observing or considering or analyzing at all. Let's make a conclusion directly. It will have nothing to do with any types of wisdoms. It has nothing to do with observing, analyzing, or distinguishing, or any details in all distinguishment. It will not be indirect. To check a lot or analyze a lot is the karmic difficulties of Titti. Only conclusion for samsara towards ending. This means that samsara will receive the benefits directly. It's not about conclusion for oneself. This is the conclusion that is made for samsara. We just have to give the conclusion because it is the great compassion in itself. The conclusion is made for samsara. Go ahead accordingly. It will purify the personhood within being enlightened or not, for both inside and outside of samsara. Internal samsara and external samsara. It will purify the personhood that is taking on the karmic difficulties or not taking on the karmic difficulties, internally and externally. There are a lot of belief values. They are the karmic difficulties in themselves. Meanings like this, like that. There are a lot of these. They don't purify themselves. There are a lot of these. The belief or reminders that don't purify themselves. There are a lot within this samsara. They cannot be used, otherwise they will become samsara that's circling around and around. We have to use reminders that purify themselves. For example, let go of the letting go itself. It's impossible to use the letting go to try to let go of anything because it lets go of itself. It's impossible to circling around with this letting go because the letting go lets go of itself. It gives ending to this kind of letting go. All forms of belief values will be purified. just continue to purify samsara with the conclusion towards ending. This is the essence of cutting the knowing, deluded knowing, and sharing the essence of this enlightenment further. The blessing is simultaneous with cutting and helping through cutting is simultaneous. The enlightenment and helping through enlightenment is simultaneous. It's not about someone who is enlightened. The word Nibbana is just a made-up language. That's all. Nibbana is not even Nibbana itself. How can there be someone who is Nibbana, who is enlightened? It's just language that is made up in the way that is going too far. Emptiness is not emptiness itself. How can there be someone who is empty? It's just a language that is made up until it's gone too far. Use the sentence that purifies itself. Use terminologies that purify themselves only, not terminologies in the way to create a practice. Instead, this is terminologies for blessing samsara, not to practice for one's own attainment. Karmic difficulties are in every Buddha era. In the form of practicing in every way. They are just the leftover of karmic difficulties in the samsara. The enlightenment of the Buddha that is leading towards blessing, using one sentence, that's all. Ending happens accordingly. The practice towards the path in this way and that way, result in this way and that way, is just the karmic difficulties that is remained within the delusion in practicing, in the attempt to letting go. They are just the leftover of karmic difficulties. This is not to be encouraged. Giving ending only. Those who have karmic difficulties in whatever ways, there is no encouraging and not stopping it either, because they have to pay back such karmic difficulties. It's impossible to stop them. Just make a conclusion towards ending. They will be automatically giving ending to such a ways by themselves. There is not much here. We say it and that's it. It's bygone. The word said and it's bygone. Samsara will have the reminders to purify themselves automatically. There's not much. If you taking things into account a lot in any ways, there's no ending. If the short is not ending the short, it will not give ending to itself either. Let's end within no time. The form of practices creates samsara, creating realms of existence in this way and that way. These are derived from the forms of practices, no matter how they are, whether it's made up as worldly or dharma. It creates realms of existence. It creates samsara. Whatever that one practices is destined as realms of existence later on. Discard, the discarding itself is called instantaneous ending. It's not about discarding anything. Just discard the discarding itself. It will give ending for both the discarding itself and the attempt to discard. The discard doesn't grasp itself. This is called ending instantaneously. It's not created as a path or a result. Just use the reminders to purify onwards constantly. Automatically it will be thorough by the unobstructedness. Constantly use the reminders to purify onwards. Then you'll be genius in all angles by the unobstructedness, which is automatic. It will give ending to the burdens. The practice, the developments in the practice will be ended. Ending the burden in the attempt to discard or to let go. The path of the worldlings and the path of the noble ones will be ended, or thus such a burdens. The worldling's path is practicing, aiming to practice for attainment. The noble one's path is attempting to let go, attempting to discard, attempting to discard, attempting to let go. This is the path of the noble ones. Using the reminders of discard, the discarding itself, we give both ending for the worldling's path and the noble's path. There is no need to discard anything or let go of anything. Let go of the letting go itself, discard the discarding itself. It will give ending to both the delusion to let go and the attempt to let go. Just use the reminder, these key notes of the thoughts. Let's pour some water now. Do water blessing. Let there be shared all the great bliss, fortune and merits all together. Diligently use the reminders, because the stillness is not discarding its state. It will crystallize in the stillness itself instead. It doesn't discard itself. All that state of peace or stillness will make oneself delay because it will maintain and drown in its state. So need to diligently use the reminders. Give up the give up itself. Discard the discarding itself. It will discard that state that is there. It will dissolve the state of mind that is there automatically. Discard the discarding. Let go of the letting go. Let go of the letting go itself. Discard the discarding itself. This will be brightening out, purifying samsara altogether. To be obsessed with stillness and indifference is maintaining in its state. It's a delay. This will make oneself delay within one's own state of mind. No grasping for the non-grasping itself. Not attached to the non-attachment itself. You can use all of these sentences. These sentences, for example, the word non-attachment, giving up, letting go, discarding. Samsara made up to grasp. Therefore, we need to purify all of these actions. Samsara grasping for letting go, discarding, giving up, liberation of suffering or non-attachment. Samsara is grasping for it. We have to purify these terminologies. Not attached to the non-attachment. It's not about grasping for the non-attachment. Samsara has terminologies already. These are not made up again. Instead, purify all these. Purify terminologies that grasp themselves. These are terminologies that are made to purify themselves. Purifying all that is made up. All the thoughts that is created in terms of Dharma. For example, discarding is already there, or giving up is already there, but they grasp themselves. They try to gain it. Therefore, we have to purify all these terminologies, all these made-up terminologies. Then it will not become samudaya, cause of suffering within such a thought, within such a terminology. Samsara will realize that it must be let go of the letting go itself instead of letting go of something. Samsara is let go of the letting go itself instead of letting go of something. Samsara is not that it doesn't grasp itself. Instead, it's not grasping for the non-grasping itself. It's not about not wanting samsara. No grasping for the non-grasping itself. Therefore, there is no need to have any place for practicing Dhamma. Everywhere, use the reminders for instant purification. All those practice of Dhamma is unnecessary. Use reminders of the great compassion to instantly purify for samsara. For everything, let go of the letting go itself. For everything, discard the discarding itself right away. Use the great compassion as such to purify everywhere you are. There is a place of practice because they are aiming towards grasping, towards attainment. It becomes suffering and the cause of suffering right in there. They want attainment. Let's purify this grasping mind. Whenever one carelessly set up for attainment, it will be delayed. Being obsessed with just that which one's aiming for, whether it's worldly or Dhamma, is the same. It's gonna be delayed. Being stuck with just being realm of existence towards something that one is aiming for.